Hey there, Sarah with NextGEN Medium. We're talking about spiritual art. There's a lot of things in here. There were a lot of frustrating parts of researching this that we're gonna talk about, and I'm gonna air it out. You're gonna hear all about it. I also have some proposals for some new art types that could be a part of the spiritual art world this week on NextGEN Medium, the vlog. Vlog. Hey, Sarah with NextGEN Medium. I was doing some work outside and I'm not changing my clothes, so I got my sports bra on, I've got my yoga top and my yoga pants. Just gives you an idea of how much yoga I actually do, and that is 0. Just a reminder, my mission is to have you uncover your psychic, mediumship, intuitive abilities, whatever abilities that beholds. I want you to find that for yourself. I found it for myself a couple years ago, and I can't let it go. And so I thought I'd throw my truth out there, and maybe that could help other people too. So I've got this blog, I've got a podcast, I've got a blog, I've got a website, nextgenmedium.com, where I'm putting all this information and you can fish through it and see what speaks to you. This week we're talking about spiritual arts. This has everything to do with your spiritualism, and sometimes when you research it, it has to do with other things too. And Sarah doesn't like that. Sarah likes things neatly packaged together with a little bow. Black and white. Give me definition. I like to have things in categories. I don't want outliers in categories that they don't belong in, but nevertheless, that's what's happening here with spiritual art. Spiritual art in general is supposed to be all-encompassing of your spiritual stuff. So your mediumship, your psychic ability, your intuitive ability. But let's get to know some of the types that I've come across and give you an idea of what's in there. And we are going to continue with spiritual art types, art forms. Okay, so here's what I found. People, stop emailing me. Who do you think you are? All right, what is that? Is that a spider? Or is that an ant? That is an ant. All right, first up is automatic drawing. Now, this could have been included in the Know Your Psychic Type series, but I didn't put it in there. Really closely related to automatic writing. Now remember, I interviewed Tisha Reader and we talked to her about automatic writing. Well, it's nearly the same thing, except it's imagery. You are the channel and spirit is using your hand to create artwork. This form, it seems very mediumship-like. But next up we have auragraphs. So I thought I had an understanding of auragraphs because I think at one point I was told that it's basically looking at someone's aura, the aura that's around people. You've heard of that, the energy. And there's a color to their energy, maybe multiple colors, maybe more than just colors, and creating that into artwork. But it seems to be much more than what I initially thought. That circular idea is definitely present in this artwork, where an aura is all around your body, and so it's circular. But it seems like what I came across when it came to galleries and people who do this and get paid to do it, they also include not just what is presented intuitively in reading someone's energy, but also psychically in what happened in the past, what could happen in the future, using a lot of symbols and colors to interpret what you're receiving as the psychic, intuitive, or medium. And so I have examples of that on my website at nextgenmedium.com. Next up is something that I'm really interested in and that I think I'm going to pursue myself, and that is spirit portraits. A long time ago, I used to do portraits. I loved doing it. I was really into chalk pastel, and I found that when I would look at photographs, I would see colors that weren't in the photograph. Like I could discern colors that were there but weren't there. And so I would include those in the portraits. And now looking back and having gone through my journey the way I have, now I think of that as a part of my intuition, receiving the messaging of something to do with the portraits, with the people in the portraits. But this is really dominant in using mediumship. Generally, you're talking with somebody who has passed away, and this person, I can see them in my mind's eye, and if I could draw it, like, that would be way better than the words that I could give you, you know? Other people go beyond that. I want to show you like spirit guides and angels and totem stuff and spirits that are presenting themselves as being connected to you more intimately. But when I think spirit portraits, I'm really going towards that mediumship world and what I'm getting. As to who's coming through for messaging for the person in front of me. Also, we have intuitive art. Now, this really doesn't tap into a psychic mediumship stuff really intensely like the other stuff. And really the big thing with the intuitive art is there's really no goal in mind when you start doing your artwork. Actually, it takes time to develop and create the imagery and just letting things flow, having no judgment and just creating without restriction. I really wanted to include this on my list because I think this could help open the door for that intuitive energy, that mindfulness, non-judgmental, just letting it go, letting it flow. That's needed when it comes to getting in touch with your psychic, mediumship, intuitive abilities. I think this could be a good way to open the door and stepping into becoming more comfortable with the idea that you set no expectations. It's gonna come how it's gonna come, and it's gonna be what it wants to be. And that's something that's important to learn when you want to get into the psychic mediumship, intuitive stuff, and really getting in touch with it is an acceptance of it is what it is. It's gonna be whatever it's gonna be, and sort of letting control go. I think this is a great way to go about doing that. So I would definitely recommend looking at the videos I have in my blog of this because you might want to try it, and I'm kind of intrigued to try it myself. So the problems that I had when it came to researching this was there's a lot of terms that are kind of used, and people are using them instead of other terms that should be used, or in ways that doesn't make sense. So psychic art, but also including spirit portraits in there, that doesn't make sense to me. Spirit art is like derived from mediumship stuff. And psychic and medium are different places. Those are different sources of information. That was really frustrating. What was also frustrating was terms that I would come across for different art forms like soul art, third eye art, even spiritual art, had different results showing up for me in Google searches and stuff because spiritual art is also connected to the religious world, which is not where I'm going whatsoever when it comes to spiritual art in the way that I want to do it, but it's lumped up with religious stuff. A couple of the things that I came across, and it was just so frustrating when it came to really wanting some definition and wanting some categorization, and it's really not there, and I have a hard time with that. So I went out of my way to create some more art forms with clear definitions and maybe an all-encompassing term that could be used to help clarify some things. That would be my first proposed art form that I'd like to bring into this world is Clair Arts. How do we sense the psychic mediumship intuitive world? We use clairaudience, we use clairvoyance, we use the clairs. So let's call it Clair Art. I feel like Clair is just a great umbrella term for everything. Intuitive energy art is another one I'd like to propose. I don't feel like there's anything really defining of the terms that I found that are a part of this concept. And I think talking with the medical intuitive Elizabeth Thorson helped bring this to the forefront for me, because I feel like there's nothing really singular when it comes to just using your intuition. Your intuition is taking in what is in front of you, what is present right now, and maybe what in the past has created what is present right now. There is definite use of creating an art form that is based on intuitive energy, what you're receiving intuitively from the energy that's sitting in front of you. Now, I would use intuitive art, but that's already taken. This is solely on your intuition, what's presented right now, the person that's sitting in front of me right now, based on their energy, showing the blockages. Maybe it's a body and it's showing the blockages. Maybe it's really similar to the aurograph, but it's not using symbols and all this stuff. Our interview, the long interview, she actually holds up a couple examples of these sheets she uses and has a human form on there where she actually draws on there. I feel like there's a bug on me. Oh my God. Oh. Oh my God. That was so gross. I need to wrap this up. But she actually has on that form a human body on it, and then she draws on there what she receives intuitively, maybe imagery-wise, as to blockages, as to the colors that are present there. And that would be cool to include as a proposed art form. Last up, get my glasses on, I'm gonna take a look. Inspired spiritual art. Art that's solely about your experiences with this stuff. My psychic world, my mediumship world, my intuitive world. It doesn't necessarily have to be messaging, a way of expressing how you feel when you do it, or some of the visions you've seen. It's not meant for anybody in particular. It is more or less something to just share and inspired. In that way, we have a little bit more definition in our, subcategories of spiritual art that I want to change to Clair Art. The best thing about art is it's whatever you want it to be. I think there's a lot of things that art can open the doors for you when it comes to your abilities, and just stepping into it could be the trigger that just puts everything in place. On my blog, I have some great videos for you to check out, including the intuitive art. I think there's like a 9-minute video on here of this woman creating a piece of artwork using the intuitive art technique, and I watched the whole thing. It was pretty interesting to watch, and it makes me want to do it too. So check out those videos on my blog. I also have a couple of links to some articles you can check out as well. All right, I'm done. Check out the blog posts on my website, nextgenmedium.com. Check out the podcast that's already up on the website as well in my podcast page. Check me out on Facebook, on Pinterest, on Instagram, and I hope you have a great rest of your week and you are washing your hands, staying safe, wearing masks. I'm gonna be the person that says that. And I'll chat with you next week on NextGen Medium, the vlog.